to show you the bike. It's not been running for, I can't remember when, it's got to be at least 6 months since I last started it. And it's just the beauty, typical Honda quality. And it's running really well considering it's not been running for a while. I'm gonna smoke myself to death here. Listen to that. Absolutely unbelievable. She's just sat there for 6 months and away she goes. I mean, she had to spin over a wee bit to sort of prime the petrol and so forth. And once it caught, it's warmed up. Just amazing. I really do love this bike. I really am keen to get it back on the road. I am deeply in love with this bike in a way I've never felt about another bike. I was the fourth owner and I had 30,000 miles on the clock, and the chap who owned it before me had owned it for 18 years. And I only had a couple of owners before then, so it was very, very original and very untouched, and just a lovely bike. And it was not expensive. It was under £1,000 when I bought it. It was quite incredible. And I just love geared, cam driven gear VFRs. And this is the second one I had, and I was so overwhelmed to find this one because I had been looking again after the disaster of my first one. And I just was so chuffed to find this, and I found it locally. It was in Crail, which is really quite unbelievable. And it's just such a lovely bike. It's so authentically original. So anyway, I decided that I would give it an overhaul and brought it into the workshop. Started work on it and started to strip off the front end, take the brakes off. Front brakes were sticking, that was part of the reason. I was kind of really just going to service the brakes. And then, of course, as you start these things and you start looking at the things like the fork legs were in a really poor state. Once I started to take them off, I could see that I couldn't really put them back on the way they were. And then you take the fairings off and you see the engine casings and some of the engine, and it's just age. I mean, it was 30 odd year old at that point. It just needs some TLC. So I'm not doing a restoration on this bike. What I'm trying to do, I suppose, is to what I'm doing is I'm preserving it and trying to keep it as original as I can. But there are just certain things that I need to do just to keep on top of any corrosion and so forth. Now, I'm not doing a proper restoration on this bike. I've got a project in the garage waiting for a proper restoration. And when I come to do that bike, all the bits that need painted, frames, all the bodywork, I'll be giving that to someone else to do, because I am definitely 100% not a painter. And I've done very little painting in my life as far as motor vehicles are concerned. So what I decided to do with this bike was kind of preservation. Do enough to it to kind of keep it in good conditions, so that when I get to the time and the space that I feel that I want to maybe restore it, then it'll be in good order to do that. And so if I'm painting bits and pieces myself, again, it's just to preserve it. So what I did was I took on the task of the fork legs, and you can see at this stage on this one, I've got it primed. It's had quite a few coats of primer on it. It's etching primer, obviously, to allow it to adhere. And it does actually look in quite good shape already, just with the etching primer. I obviously did a lot of preparation to rub it down and so forth. My idea is maybe to put another coat of etching primer on it. And at that point I might put something like a thicker primer on it, just on top of the etching primer. It won't be an etching primer, it'll just be a normal primer. And then I might rub that back a bit, do another coat, and then I'll be ready to put the top paint on it. I've gone as close as I can to what I think will be a decent colour for the fork leg. It's hard to get an exact match when you're just sort of dealing with spray cans and so forth. And as I say, I'm just trying preservation, so I'm not trying to, I'm not a professional painter, and I'm putting this video out there because I feel that if it's a learning curve, isn't it? So there's going to be other people who can give advice on painting and the best practice and the best steps for an amateur painter to be able to do these things, rattle can painting basically, without, having all the sort of fancy equipment that a proper paint booth would have. So I'm open to absolutely any tips from anybody about doing this kind of work. And I'll finish this leg, we'll see what it looks like, and maybe by the time I do one leg and I do it my way and we see what the results are, if I feel that it's not been 100% successful for me, then maybe some of the information I gather from other people will help me going forward. I've got another fork leg to do. I've got the brake calipers to refurbish, and then I've got things like, you can see the engine casing is it's just aged a bit, and it could do with a little bit of tidying up. So I'll probably end up taking this case off, and anything else I think round about the engine casings that I think needs to be done, I'll take them off and get them painted. I'm also possibly going to take this radiator off and see if I could refurbish the sides of it. Other than that, the bike is in really quite amazing condition for its age, And as I say, it's always been loved, it's always been looked after, it's got a good service record. It's just a genuine version of this bike that's not been tampered with. And you can see it really isn't in bad condition at all for being 33 years old. But I'm just giving it a bit of TLC. I've had a couple of seasons out of it, and I feel that it could give me so much more riding, and that's what I want to get out of it before I ever think about doing a proper restoration. The other thing I'm going to tackle is the wheels and just get them refreshed. But I'm doing all this without putting anything into anything professional. As I say, it's a preservation job. But I'm looking forward to getting this bike back on the road. When I bought it, I had a couple of little dimples in the tank. You can hardly see them, I don't know if you can, on either side. It's got one on that side, a matching one on that side. The chap I bought it from said that when he bought it, it had one of them. And as I say, he owned it 18 years, and he said he accidentally did the other one. Something dropped on the tank. The tank's actually not in bad condition, so I don't know how I could maybe get these out. There is maybe room to get something in to help prise them out. I was half thinking about taking it to a body workshop and getting somebody that knows what they're doing, just to see if they could pop those bits out. But again, if you've got any suggestions with that, I'm all ears. So I'm on a learning curve. I don't know what I'm doing with the paint stuff. I know that preparation is the key. I know that you've got to use the right materials, like for this kind of metal, I'm using an etching primer. I was thinking of then eventually putting the top coat on, and then once I've done the top coat, I was then thinking about possibly putting a lacquer on. So if anybody's done that, if they put a lacquer on the fork legs, is there a problem with that? Can it cause more problems than good? Or is it worth doing just putting a clear, a thin clear coat on the top once it's finished? So that's where I'm at with the VFR750 at the moment, and I'm just dying now to get stuck back into it. Hearing it running again has motivated me, and I just want to get on with getting it tidied up and getting it sorted out and getting it MOT'd and back on the road. And like I say, it is just a full refurbishment I'm doing, as well as a proper service on it. So that's a year that I've been in the workshop now, which is really quite unbelievable. I really can't believe that's a year gone by. Of course, that year when I first got the workshop and got it built, I had all the insulating to do and the drain things to do, and all the sort of getting it prepped and ready kind of thing. And then I then had to preserve the inside. I did that, and then of course slowly but surely began to fill it with bits and pieces. And just to give you a wee tour around, I think. So at the moment I've moved my little paint booth to the side here, and the idea being that I've drilled holes in the top here. This has just been put together by myself, And the idea being that I can hang the fork legs in it, and I can hang things like the brake calipers and that when I'm painting those. Brake caliper at the moment sitting over there, one of them. And that's my little spray booth at the moment, temporary spray booth. So just a wee look around the workshop. I've got my big tool chest there. I've got all my cabinets and various bits of equipment I've been buying. Carb tuners and synchronizers and all the bits and pieces that you really need to do the servicing yourself. And obviously buying a lot of products like paint, grease, primers, lubrication, everything that you need to equip your workshop out with. I call this my wall of shame, and I call it that because of all the motorbikes that I've owned in my life, which is quite shameful really. A great experience, but at a great cost, and definitely at a great waste. But I'll get onto that one day. I'm going to do a little bit on the wall of shame. And then obviously I've got again this side, so I've got two good work surfaces to work on, which is absolutely brilliant. Having the work surfaces and being able to come away from the garage and have a dedicated place to work is just fantastic. And again, this is a good size workspace for putting stuff on and working away. And I've got plenty of shelves. I built all the shelves myself, put all those in. It was a joiner who made the worktops and made it to fit my cabinets and everything. He did a fantastic job at that. And again, this side the joiner did the main work with the bench, but I did all the shelves. And of course I bought my parts washer, which is a really useful product. And of course the pillar drill. Now the pillar drill I have used already and has proved its value. I had the fork legs had a couple of C's bolts for the mud guards that I had to drill out, and when I first drilled them out with just using the sort of temporary sort of little stand, trying to grip them, trying to position it, trying to get it right, I just wasn't pleased with the way that I drilled the holes. So I ended up filling them again with a metal filler, letting that harden. And I've now drilled those using the drill press, and what a job it made of it. It was so much easier and so much neater. And so I'm already pleased with what the ability to use the drill press gives you. It's just for the accuracy is what you need, and that's what it gives you. I got my grinding wheel from Will. Will was in a place who were clearing out bits and pieces, and they were throwing that out. And he instantly thought of me and gave me it, and it was a well done, Will, thank you very much. But that is really the workshop as it is today. It certainly looks a lot busier than what it did when I first moved into it. So, you know, I built the workshop, I moved into it, I got all the sort of main stuff done, got my first bike. I did a lot of different little bits in the workshop on different various bikes, and some of that is up on the channel. And then eventually I moved into VFR, which I thought was going to be a lot quicker than this to do the work. March, I unfortunately lost my brother, and it kind of kicked me off the sort of doing anything. And I kind of felt a bit guilty about getting on and doing stuff like this when I was still trying to get over my brother dying. And you know, I'm not trying to be morbid about it. It happened. My brother was, you know, I think he was 72 when he died, prostate cancer, and unfortunately it got spotted too late. And he hung on for a few years, but eventually it got him. So when that happened, I just felt a bit guilty about doing other stuff when I was still trying to get over my brother's death. And then of course the motorbike season started, and I started going out riding, and I started to go to venues and you know, things that I'd booked up for the year, and I kind of just fell away from the workshop. But you know, I've got back into it in the last week or so, and as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be full steam ahead again, and I can start to enjoy it and just get on with it. It is a great part of my life that I always wanted, and I've got it now, and I can see myself having to work for the next, you know, 5-7 years and then retiring, and here it is, my little mecca that I can enjoy and do what I love doing, working on motorcycles. Anyway, there's a catch up with the workshop, the VFR750. I'll leave it at that. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.